if you bring your gun out, you better use it. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that will land you in jail. Guys, welcome to the channel, The Modern Survivalist. And in this case, we're talking about some of the most stupid things you see people comment online. Before we go on, especially for this kind of content, if you don't have the training, if you never took defensive shooting classes, which most of you have not, especially those of you that have some of these tools for defending yourself, you really want to get yourself those classes, and you really want to get yourself sweet survival skills. In this book in particular, I share with you the things that are usually taught in these sort of classes. It's always better to have that first-hand training. Now, I know it's not always there. It's not always even available in your country, and it can be quite expensive. I get that. Believe me, I do. I spend a lot of money, thousands and thousands of dollars on different classes over the years, and I know that it's not exactly cheap. Not the ammunition, not going there, the time, the class itself. It's all expensive. This is what, 20 bucks right now in Amazon? I don't know. I don't even follow the changes from Amazon, but for your money, you're going to be learning many of these skills that you learn in these classes, both for defensive shooting and knife fighting classes and defending yourself against armed attackers and so on. All of these things, it's a lot better if you have at least some of that knowledge, if you have someone to practice it with, if you have the dedication to train the things that you see there, even better. But one of the most stupid things I hear all the time here is, hey, yeah, if I'm bringing my gun out, it's because I'm using it. Well, it's not always like that. Let me explain. So there's a big difference between, yes, having the conviction that if necessary, you are ready to use your firearm if there's no other choice left, and being this dumbass that thinks that just because you brought a gun out, you have to use it. There's people like that. Believe me, not only do I read it in the comments, I also see it in many of these videos where people end up doing things that land them in jail and they don't even know it. There was a case not that long ago in which a guy used a firearm he was carrying concealed in a restaurant, and it was completely uncalled for, and he's probably in jail right now. Pretty sure that was the case. Now, this idea that if I bring a gun out, I am using it, it is not like that. That's not how it works. That doesn't make any sense. That is not legally the way in which you defend yourself. In most of the civilized world, self-defense revolves around the idea of an illegitimate force being used against you, your life being at risk, and you having the right to defend yourself. Illegitimate is a key word here, because if I'm arresting some crackhead that is committing a crime, he has no right to defend himself from my physical aggression. I am holding him. Yes, I'm using force. Hell, you may even have him at gunpoint. He has no right to defend himself because he has committed a crime. This is something that you see dumbasses cry out all the time when they're being arrested. You're touching me. You don't have a right to touch. Yes, you're a criminal. You're being arrested. A judge will have the final word. But for now, you're in cuffs and we're having your ass dragged to a cell. That's basically how it goes. If you committed a crime, that right is no longer there for you, all right? Now, it also needs to apply a certain proportionality of force being used. Meaning, if you're walking down the park and a 5-year-old threw a paper plane at you, even if it touched you, you're not under a risk of death because of that little kid's airplane. Even if a kid threw a frisbee at you, some teenager asshole, oh, there you go, and he laughed and you're pissed, you don't have a right to draw your concealed carry gun and gun him down. That is not how this works. It's going to be changing from one country to the other. It's going to be changing from one state to the other, especially in the United States. And yes, you have hold your ground laws by which you don't have to retreat, and that's going to be on them if they don't know about that. Oh, you should have left. Nope, no, I'm in freaking Florida. I don't have to retreat one damn thing. You're going down, and that's how it works. In other places, not so much. In other places, if you have the possibility to avoid the confrontation, you're legally required to do that up until the point in which you cannot do that anymore, and then you have the right to use lethal force. It has to be proportional. Again, a 5-year-old attacking you is not reasonable enough. Now, let's say I'm a I'm an average 50-year-old guy walking down the street, and I see a world-class wrestler, UFC heavyweight champion. He is unarmed, but he's going to attack me. Yes, there is a disproportionality of force there. Even if it's just a obviously stronger person, bigger, stronger, that's usually going to be the case where, yes, even if unarmed, if I let this guy beat the living crap out of me, then I will be dying. So I have to defend myself within the means that I have, something that is reasonable and proportional towards that in terms of that aggression. Now, it also depends on a number of other factors. If it's in the middle of the night, someone broke into your house and it's the skinniest crackhead ever and he's unarmed, but you have a reasonable amount of fear given that it is your house. They broke in, they used force to break into, and you're scared. You're not gonna wait, oh, do you have a knife in your hand? It's in the middle of the night. Everything is dark. I don't even see. So even if that crackhead that weighs half as much as you do is unarmed, there's a good chance that this law will see that in a favorable manner towards you, all right? Again, check your local laws, but it's usually going to be somewhat around here. And in general, laws do at least try to have some common sense towards them. So you're defending yourself against a legitimate aggression, and you're using proportional force, and especially when you feel that your life is at risk, you have the right to use these tools in most civilized places, all right? Especially in the United States, where you have the Second Amendment, even in places where maybe you didn't even have a concealed carry license. Well, that will be some other issue. That will be a separate issue. You are carrying illegally? All right, you will have to face the consequences of that. Maybe you lose your gun permit. Maybe you have a fine. Hell, maybe if you're living in UK, just for having one of these things, you're probably going to end up 3 years in prison, right? It's going to depend on each country. But this is usually separate from your right to defend yourself, your right to self-defense, which in most civilized places, such a right does exist. Having said all of that, you don't have the right to just go happily shooting whoever looks you wrong. It does not work that way. And this idea that, oh, if I brought my gun out, that's the kind of thing you can expect from a child in kindergarten. But to see this being said by grown-ass men, especially even worse, armed grown-ass men, that is concerning. And that's why you see even in cases in which people thought they were not committing crimes, end up having their asses thrown in jail because of how fucking stupid they are. No, you don't shoot your gun every single time you bring it out. It's statistically even not likely to happen. Statistically speaking, according to the NRA, and this is one of those statistics that you could argue all you want, but in general, and again, based on my own life experience, it is 9 out of 10 times that you can use a firearm to defend yourself without actually having to use it. How is it? How is it that works well? Especially if you have the training, if you have a somewhat elevated level of awareness, you probably see someone that is breaking into your house, someone that is targeting you on the street, whatever the case may be. If you end up with one of these tools in your hands before that person actually goes through with what he's planning to do, there's a good chance that he will turn around and go his way. And usually that's the point in which, if you're a dumbass, you may take some very stupid decisions, such as shooting someone in the back half a block away because they're leaving in a motorcycle. And you're just, I got you. Yeah, I got you with my super accurate P7, you asshole. Yeah, I don't care. You're 50 meters away. Boom, fuck you. That's not how it works. You will go to jail for doing that sort of thing. In most civilized places. Now, in your state, you have a right to shoot someone in the back half a block away because whatever, congratulations. Usually, that's the kind of thing you don't want to do, especially when it's caught in, and even these days when you have so many cameras all over the place, even without the cameras, it's going to be kind of solid for most forensics to find out where that guy dropped, where you shot your gun, where you were standing. How is it that guy got shot 100 yards away or whatnot with a freaking rifle? You will have ways in which you can prove that, and your bullshit, no, he was standing right next to me and he just turned around. Really? How close? He was just this close to me and he just turned around. I mean, this happened in the middle of a field, for crying out loud. How could they possibly know? Well, there's things that if you actually have the knowledge, the training, if you took these classes, well, there's different ways. There's ways in which you can measure. Depending on the firearm being used, you can measure how much gunpowder actually left a tattoo. Yes, in Spanish, that's an actual technical word. The tattoo of the unburned gunpowder that goes into the skin, or it's marking the clothes, or burning. This is a science on its own. Depending on the gun you're firing and the distance, it's going to be charring, burning, leaving more of a burn mark, leaving more of a unburned powder mark, leaving nothing at all. I mean, hell, you probably know that the round hasn't got the same speed at one distance and the other. If that guy was shot 1 mile away, it's not going to be penetrating the same amount as if it had been fired within 100 yards or so. These are things that they can measure, and they will most likely be able to tell if you're lying about what happened or not. All right? So you don't always use your firearm because you just brought it out. If you are using your gun and the situation calls for you to actually pull the trigger, then that will unfortunately be what ends up happening. That's fine. If someone has you at gunpoint and in the middle of the fight, yes, of course. Now, someone is breaking into your house. You woke up. You saw the guy through the window trying to open it with a screwdriver. You're not supposed to shoot through the... Especially, and again, this is actually something that happens. If I'm in the middle of the night, I see someone dropping into the backyard of my house, right? I grab my gun and he sees me and he turns around and walks away and runs away. You're not supposed to shoot that person in the back. That's the kind of thing most definitely in Argentina, that will land your ass in jail. I've known of cases in which they allow the guy to actually steal stuff from them and start walking away with their property. Did you warn? Did you tell that person to stop? Oh, well, he should know better. I mean, he's stealing my crap, right? Well, yeah, again, it will depend on the legal aspects of where you are, but I'll tell you this. I know of a case in which that guy shot the robber in the back with his lever action rifle as he was leaving his house with a TV or some stupid crap like that. He ended up in jail. Why? Well, because he was no longer at risk. The guy was actually leaving with his property, so he knew he was not at risk at that. And in Argentina, you don't have the right to shoot someone down simply because he's stealing your property. And be very careful with the laws that apply to your state. Have you told that person to drop your Hey, that's my TV. Leave it right there. Oh, I just bought it from that other guy. How the hell would I know that it was stolen? I bought it from a store. Oh, that's my stolen TV. I shoot you in the back. No. Make sure you know your local laws. But in general, in the great majority of the cases, common sense applies. Meaning, self-defense is limited to situations in which your life is honestly at risk. Just bringing your gun out does not say, oh, if I brought it out, you're not... This is like the kukri from the Nepalese warriors, that it has a dent so as to cut your finger each time you bring it out of the sheath. Or I'm a fucking samurai. If my sword comes out, it has to taste blood, because if not, the soul of my grandpa will not... Bullshit! That's not how it works. It didn't even work for samurais or for Nepalese warriors, and it most definitely does not work for you in the fucking civilized world where you have firearms. You have to use them knowing the laws that apply to you. Okay, guys? Again, a lot of this is covered in Street Survival Skills, especially a way in which you're supposed to use these tools, and also recommending surviving the economic collapse. Based on my experience of going through just that in Argentina, both of these will be available following the links there below. Take care. See you next time.